I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes. I want to touch up on something that Mr. Frost said. He kept asking, "Where's your bill? Where's your bill?" And there are two schools of thought up here as we try to address the crime crisis in Washington, D.C. and try to come to solutions. And I feel like one thing that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle constantly say, you have to have a bill to do this. They said you had to have a bill to secure the border. Well, President Trump secured the border within days of assuming the presidency. It wasn't the lack of a bill, and their bill, by the way, had a lot of amnesty in there, which made it a toxic bill, and that was a poison pill, as we say often about bills. So there's also a school of thought that to alleviate poverty or to control poverty, you have to have a bill. You have to have government programs. You have to hire a bunch of government bureaucrats. You have to have government funding, and it has to increase by 10% every year, for every year, year after year, year after year, year after year. Many of us, myself included, believe that the best way to end poverty is to try to help grant access to a good paying job, And we don't think you get good paying jobs through government bureaucracies, through government agencies, through never-ending creation of new government programs. And with respect to alleviating crime in Washington, D.C., we had, as we all know, an aggressive markup last week. And the bills addressed, many of them, juvenile crime. So, General Schwab, do you agree or disagree that there's a juvenile crime problem in Washington, D.C.?
I think we need to make sure that when kids commit crimes, particularly violent
but
crime.
is there, I mean, it seems like looking out the window at night from Barry, there were a lot of kids running around. A lot of the carjackings were committed by juveniles, an excessively high juvenile crime rate, if you define juvenile as, the way your definition under 24 is.
Well, here in the district, Mr. Chairman, juveniles defined as younger than 18. My office is addressing every violent juvenile crime that we have.
There's no juvenile crime crisis in Washington. Is that what you want to say?
One crime from a young person
okay,
is one too many.
Chairman Mendelson, is there a juvenile crime problem in Washington, D.C.?
Well, the challenge, Mr. Chairman, is that what does problem mean? So if I were to say yes,
that's good.
No, there's too much.
No, if you can't say there's a juvenile crime problem in Washington, D.C., that's why we have to come in and help out a little bit.
I'm trying to give you
and many of us believe that the juvenile crime problems were created by excessive criminal justice reform. Now, I supported criminal justice reform back when it first became a thing in Kentucky. So did another Republican, Rand Paul. At that time, it dealt with incarcerating young people because of possession of marijuana. And I believed then, and I still believe that that was an excessive penalty to pay for what is now legal in most states, marijuana, and it did appear to me by the numbers to have a trace of racism in it. That it seemed like many times white kids that got possession of marijuana somehow got out of it over black kids. I believe that. I said that publicly in Kentucky. But over time, the activists continued to expand that to no bail, cashless bail, to raise the age of what is a juvenile, and treat juveniles to where they got a slap on the wrist even if they committed a serious crime. And that's why we stepped in. So you all have said, and I'm talking about Chairman Mendelson and General Schwab, that you oppose every bill that we passed out of this committee. I believe Ms. Norton read letters of opposition from you all on the bills. What is the answer to juvenile crime? And I mean, do you think it's working? If we do nothing, which is what the Democrats in here want to do, and which is what I think you all want to do, is it going to get better on its own?
Mr. Chairman, if you want a conversation, yes or no is difficult for a conversation. What do I think we can do to reduce juvenile crime? Because I do think there's more of it than there should be by far. I think for one thing, we have to address public education and attendance. We have to look at kids who are missing school and see that as an opportunity to identify why they're missing school. There may be something dysfunctional in the home or with that juvenile that needs to be addressed.
And I'll let you answer a lot of questions, Mr. Mendelson, but we believe that the message has been sent that if you're a juvenile and you commit a crime in Washington, D.C., you won't be held accountable.
And that is a mistake if that's the message, because that's not the message that any of the three of us
Well,
take.
we're not saying that's the unintended consequence of the laws that the council passed. And to the mayor's credit, she vetoed several of those laws. And I don't think, another thing they always say, and I think Mr. Jackson said, a takeover, from the National Guard in Kentucky. When we had the Breonna Taylor riots and stuff in Louisville, Louisville's Democrat mayor, and we have a Democrat governor of Kentucky. Without hesitation, the Democrat governor, along with the support of the mayor, allowed the National Guard to come in and restore order. No one in Kentucky complained about the National Guard coming in. No one said it was a takeover and they were going to have to train and educate the youth on how to respond to the National Guard. That was just what was done to restore order. So we support what the president's doing. We want to work with the council and the mayor's office and the AG to try to come up with solutions to the problem. But doing nothing isn't working. And that's kind of what my colleagues over here want to do, creating more government programs, hiring more government bureaucrats. That's not work. That's been the business model in the past, and it's not worked. It's not working in Washington, D.C., and it's not working in a lot of other cities. So hopefully we can continue to have dialogue and come up with solutions to solve the crime crisis, especially the juvenile crime crisis in Washington. Now, the chair